Topping today's news, the Minister of Health addresses concerns over a reported rise in COVID numbers. The nation records its first murders only 2 days into the new year. The locals weigh in on the government's performance in the face of a challenging year in 2022, and one family makes it 2 straight after winning the New Year's Day Junkanoo Parade. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. The Ministry of Health and Wellness releasing a statement debunking a fabricated report on social media which seeks to alarm people regarding the increasing numbers of cases of the Omicron COVID-19 variant reported to be in the United States. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Dowell saying today that the ministry has not confirmed that any samples have tested positive for the variant, but that there have been a slight uptick in COVID-19 cases.
As far as the hospital is concerned, as of yesterday, we have 18 cases of COVID-19 in hospital and 1 case in the ICU. We made it very clear in our rules, our COVID rules, that we must protect our tertiary institutions, particularly our clinics and the Princess Margaret Hospital and the Rand Memorial Hospital. You might have noticed that as a result of the case in the ICU, the Public Hospital Authority had to tighten our grips to limit the amount of visitors and the time spent with visitors at the ICU and the hospitals. This is all a part of our strategy to try to mitigate the effect of COVID-19.
Dr. Dowell goes on to inform the public that COVID-19 has never gone away and the health system is still dealing with this highly contagious virus. He says any confirmation of the Omicron variant would take 2 weeks, if not months, to determine.
But for us at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, our job is to be ready for any situation. We are operating as if it is in country, even though we may not have a verification at this time. Samples are usually sent to Panama and Brazil for confirmation with gene sequencing. And we're watching what's going on internationally. We're looking at our borders. We're looking at the United States. We're looking at what's happening in China. And our EOC and our technical team is very much in tune with the cases. One of the things is over the holiday weekend, we had record amount of tourists visiting the country. This is good for our economy. And at the Ministry of Health, it is our responsibility to mitigate the risk as it relates to COVID-19 and the economy. I believe that we have done a relatively good job at this particular point, and with all of our technical team, we will continue to do what we do at the ministry.
He assures the public that the ministry is mindful and on alert of what is happening internationally. He says they will continue to monitor COVID-19 tests, and gene sequencing tests for the Omicron variant will also be included. Police are questioning 2 suspects they believe to be involved in the country's first homicides for 2023. The year started off relatively quiet on January 1st. However, in the early hours Monday morning, a double shooting occurred on Montel Street in Montel Heights shortly before 3 a.m. According to police reports, the victim is a male and a female, or the victims rather, a male and a female. They were asleep at home on Mantol Street when a male reportedly entered the home and shot them multiple times about the body. Investigations further revealing that prior to the shooting incident, the deceased male was involved in an altercation with one of the suspects. Police arrested the men shortly after the incident in a residence in Montel Heights. Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernanda confirming the double homicide, and while he could not say if this incident was a crime of passion, he said that the suspects who are assisting police are known to the police and are on bail for serious crimes. Commissioner Fernandez said police have a plan of action to tackle crime that will be announced sometime this month. He asked the public to support the police force as they move forward to make the new year as crime-free as possible. Meanwhile, the police debunking reports that circulated on social media on Monday of a mass shooting on 4th Street, Coconut Grove. Police say that report is inaccurate as the community, or the Grove community, in particular the 4th Street community, had no reports of a shooting incident up to date. Now police are reminding the general public and members of the press that should an incident occur, the police will issue an official statement informing the public of all occurrences with the country. Police are aggressively investigating this report to determine its origin. Those who are found intentionally publishing erroneous information, creating an atmosphere of fear, will be prosecuted. A brand new year resets the crime statistics, more specifically the murder count in the country, but it also paves the way for new ideas on how to tackle the vexing issue of escalating crime. The Bahamas ended 2022 with 128 murders. The New Year's holiday Monday was marred by tragedy as a double homicide rocked the community in Montel Heights. When asked his opinion on what can be done to tackle the crime challenges, Prime Minister Philip Davis says, over the years, too much resources have been spent on detection and punishment, and not enough time on prevention and rehabilitation. However, he says there are plans to provide more resources to the Royal Bahamas Police Force, as well as increase police manpower as the numbers have fallen in recent years. Prime Minister Davis asserts that the public will see a change in the force and new initiatives will be announced very soon. The country's prison system undergoing reform, and the initial step in reforming the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, or BDOCS, is preventing a culture of inmates developing more criminal mindsets while at the correctional facility. National Security Minister Wayne Munro recently spoke on this while addressing concerns regarding the importance of the new prison structure becoming accredited as a correctional institution.
When I first came back from the UK in 1990, you used to be carried to prison in a school bus, a big yellow school bus. We used to call it the free ride at 5. You were purveyed to prison in a school bus, and at that point, prison was in fact a school for criminals. And I have seen over my career young people who went in for minor things now being involved in much more serious crime and involved in gangs. So the first step is to stop the prison becoming a school for criminals. That is very important, because 98% of the people will get out.
Minister Munro explains that to reform the prison, officials must eliminate elements that allow inmates with influence, recruiting those who are less criminal-minded and who are at risk to reoffending once released from prison because of negative influence from their time spent at the prison.
The concept of a correctional institution is to correct your behavior, to correct the behavior that brought you to the institution. And so we're moving to improve the conditions so that you can't have somebody with influence being able to recruit people because he can get them water, because he can get them food, things that they should have anyway, that he can keep them safe. They should be safe anyway. These are the tools that are being used to recruit people in our prisons to street gangs. We must eliminate those. And then, of course, we have to prepare the person for their eventual release. If the person went in marginal, they're going to come out with a criminal conviction. They're going to have disadvantages, so we are seeking.
When asked when the training for inmates will be reinstated, Minister Munro says they are currently in the midst of that exercise.
They're starting now to reintroduce the classification, to introduce the training at the moment. I'm trying to encourage the agencies to work together. And so we have a police garage that perhaps we can use that as a vehicle for training inmates for mechanical servicing. And the commissioner and his team are very driven.
And finally, in this segment, the new year started off with a bang, and no better way to celebrate the new year than by being surrounded by authentic Bahamian culture. Prime Minister Philip Davis, speaking with reporters on the sidelines of the 2023 Jonkunu Parade, that's the New Year's Day Parade on Tuesday, addressed the priorities his administration have for the new year.
We're looking forward to this new year. We're hoping to be able to create more opportunities for Bahamians, to empower them, to better their lives. Definitely make it, in doing initiatives to lower the cost of living. That is key on our agenda as well. Hoping to launch the Youth Guard program, which intends to capture the youth, to build our communities, and to help to reduce the effects of crime, give our young people something to belong to. The Youth Guard program we hope to launch as well this year. And so we're looking forward to being able to bring further relief to the hurting public.
The Prime Minister goes on to say that one of the main problems that the government will be tackling this year is trying to alleviate the burden off of the poor.
I do appreciate what people are going through. I feel they're hurt. I see them going to the food stores and not being able to buy what they wish. And we're doing our best to try to bring relief to them. And hopefully these measures that you now see will soon be going away.
Now, when asked what the Prime Minister expects to be the priority once Parliament opens back up next week, he says his priorities does not rest in a legislative agenda.
As I indicated earlier, my priority is to ensure that I have more opportunities for Bahamians, to empower them, lowering the cost of living, right? Increasing and ensuring that Bahamians are able to afford rooms. Those are my priorities now. Those initiatives doesn't necessarily require a legislative agenda. It just requires us coming up with the programs, implementing them, and ensuring that it's executed.
The Prime Minister says he looks forward to a very prosperous year for all Bahamians. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.